there's too many people out there who are going to slam me for whatever I pick here, so let's just go for it. What are we doing? What's up, guys? It's Pieman, and welcome to another fan cast. Yes, we're doing Shrek. We're doing Shrek. I've done a bunch of DreamWorks. I've done a bunch of like Don Bluth and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, I haven't touched DreamWorks much. I think I did like the Road to El Dorado a while back. You can check that out probably on the channel. But I haven't done really a lot of DreamWorks. So I was like, yeah, okay, let's do Shrek. It's time, you know? And obviously I am scared because, you know, there's a lot of people who are going to bash me no matter what I pick here. But you know what, to bash me, I have to leave a comment. So go ahead, leave a comment, whichever way you feel. So, we're going to get into this. I kind of wanted to just cast for all 4 Shrek movies so that I didn't get questions about who would you cast in, like, for Shrek 2, do a Shrek 2 video, because I can't be bothered. But so I was going to get them all done in one, but then I don't care enough about Shrek 3 and 4, you know? I don't want to cast Arthur, Rumpelstiltskin. Fuck those guys. So I'm just going to cast the ones I actually want to cast, okay? Let's go for it. So, Shrek. Shrek. God, it's hard to replace Mike Myers. It's such a unique, you know, totally Mike Myers voice, isn't it? But in my mind, it's just kind of like, well, don't try then. Just make Shrek the way that you think could be cool live action, okay? This is a live action fan cast. I don't know if I mentioned that. But essentially I was kind of like, well, Shrek's just this big guy who wants to be left alone. He's hairy. You know, I think of him as a person as being like quite hairy. Not like he was in Shrek 2 when he got turned to human. That just seemed wrong. But I kind of had the idea that maybe, you know what? David Harbour as Shrek. Because David Harbour, to me, and I've talked about this in a recent fan cast. What did I talk about this in the twits? And that was it. David Harbour, to me, is just this epitome of, yeah, he's that guy. He's that middle-aged, grumpy guy. That's who he is, okay? And Shrek is kind of like that. He's just kind of like, leave me alone. Just go away. What have I got to do so that you'll leave me alone forever, you know? That's essentially what he is like in the first film. So I'm like, yeah. But David Harbour can also be romantic when he gets down. You know, when he likes to get down, he can get down. So, fantastic. Next, then it's Fiona. And Fiona is obviously young. Beautiful. And it's kind of, yeah, you got to cast someone who'll fit that kind of, oh, she's actually this, like, I was going to say gross ogre, that's not right. But, like, yeah, she's kind of like, she burps and belches and she acts very unladylike. But she also seems, at the start, like she is very ladylike. So you've got to cast someone who could tread that line. Cameron Diaz did a great job of it. But you got to cast somebody younger now. And I'm kind of like, well, Brie Larson could do that. I know, it's a weird choice, and I thought that as well. But Brie Larson's got that kind of demeanor about her where she looks a lot like this kind of like, oh, she could be this perfect princess. But then usually the characters she plays aren't like that, you know? And that's generally because they're more like empowering and stuff than that. But it's also, you know what, because she can just be whatever she wants to be, you know? And I think Brie Larson would appreciate that kind of role. And also, that seems about right. That seems about right. Fiona was always a fair amount younger than Shrek. She seemed like that. So, yeah, good. Next, Donkey. I mean, yeah, okay, I'm going to put it out there. Because there are a lot of characters in this, obviously you could just have Eddie Murphy, okay? And there are a lot of cases like that here, but I don't like to do that, you know. This is a video where I'm meant to be giving my own new ideas on who could play these people. So I'm going to cast somebody else, but keep in mind that Eddie Murphy could entirely come back and do Donkey and nobody would complain. I think Daniel Kaluuya for Donkey. You know what? It's time. It's time that we stop going to the well for Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock when we need a funny black guy. And Daniel Kaluuya is funny. He is funny. I like him. He's done more so like things like, you know, Get Out was like black comedy and stuff like that. But he plays it so well. He plays like any character who's kind of like riffing on someone so well. And he hasn't got a lot of opportunities in like voice acting and stuff so far. I think it's time. I think it's time to try him out in that because he's done so many great things lately. Next, you know, it's the same thing with Puss. It's the same thing when you're talking Puss in Boots. Obviously, he's not in the first one, but, you know, whatever. He's so important and integral to the series. you gotta stop going to the well with Antonio Banderas when you need somebody who can play this great, like, swashbuckling Spanish person, you know? And there are new people coming through, and in my mind, Pedro Pascal is the one, you know? He's the one to replace Antonio Banderas in this kind of role, because he's just got such a great voice that he uses so well in things like The Mandalorian, and obviously he doesn't play Spanish there, but he is, and he could, and he should, because he loves just having fun. If you see him in like interviews and stuff and other things he does, he just seems like he just has so much fun in roles, and Puss in Boots is a role where you can have a lot of fun. Next, Lord Farquaad. What a cheeky boy he is. He is iconic. You know what? He's very iconic. John Lithgow, right? God damn, he did that iconically. And I'm not going to bother just casting someone who is very short, like Lord Farquaad. You know, you could cast Peter Dinklage if you wanted, or somebody. I'm not going to bother with that, though. I think somebody instead like Jermaine Clement could be great at that, because he's so good at improv and stuff like that. You know, he's so good at just kind of, like I said before, about somebody else, like riffing on people in situations like that. And that's kind of, it feels like the scene where he's like torturing the gingerbread man is like all like just this funny little improv bit. You know, it's so ridiculous. And he's just such a good villain. I think Jermaine Clement would rock that. He's done things like the giant crab in Moana and stuff, and he's so good in anything like that he does. So he'd be fantastic. Next, you know what? There is a lot of bit characters here. There's a lot of random bit characters. I'm just going to kind of fire through them quite quickly. In the first one, you have Robin Hood, obviously, he's the kind of swashbuckling, but like also a bit of a prick, you know, that tries to see a Fiona from Shrek. And he just swoops in and does a little singing bit, and it's so funny. And I kind of want Josh Dillon to play him, because he did such a good job singing and being fantastic and very attractive in Mamma Mia 2. And you know what, frankly, it's a similar kind of thing, but with more dicketry about him and less of the girl actually going yeah and being like no, maybe not so much, okay? Then you've got what have you got? Big Bad Wolf, I think Taika Waititi. I've already cast Jimmy and Clement. They are common collaborators, and I cast them together in a lot of stuff, and there's no real interaction between the Big Bad Wolf and Lord Farquaad, so I don't know why. I just think Taika Waititi, they find the Big Bad Wolf and he's like sitting in like Fiona's bed, he'd kind of be like, alright, what's up? Just this, like, I really want the New Zealand accent he's got. Because it's a similar kind of thing to when you have Korg in Thor Ragnarok. That kind of role, Taika Waititi flourishes there. That'd be so funny. Then you need Pinocchio. I think Hank Azaria. Banter. Just banter. Hank Azaria is a great voice actor. Does all kinds of great roles like this. Why not? You know, go for it. What else? The Gingerbread Man. That should be Patrick Warburton. I'm sorry, that makes me laugh so much. Because he's already, you know, he's known for having this kind of voice, you know, this tiny little thing. And I'm kind of like, no, it'd be so much funnier if he walked in and they were like, oh, Gingy. And he just goes, hey, Peter, what's going on? I love Patrick Warburton and that kind of, that's so funny to me. I think that'd be great. What else? The Three Blind Mice. I think Ken Jeong should play all of them. You know, there's nothing more to say about that. That's pretty obvious. Next. So in the second film, you introduce the King and Queen of Far, Far Away. And yeah, kind of, I'm kind of like, well, you already had such icons. It was like Julie Andrews and John Cleese were the King and Queen. But I'm kind of like, well, cast slightly younger, but still like on the older side of things, and obviously quite fanciful and British in nature, both of them are. And I'm kind of like, well, how about we cast Hugh Laurie as the king, because Hugh Laurie is hilarious. And again, just kind of improv, like little comedy bit scenes. He's so good at that kind of thing. And, you know, a lot of these characters, even up to like the King and Queen Far, Far Away, aren't much more than comedic bit characters for these films, okay? And then the Queen should be Emma Thompson, because if you want a comedic bit British actress who can kind of play fancy roles, obviously it's Emma Thompson. Like, obviously. She is wonderful in everything she touches. Remember her in Last Christmas as like the Russian mother? Oh, she was so funny. She's so good at any comedic bit roles like that. She's so good at everything. Next, I want to say finally, I'm kind of looking at my list. They're all over the place. So finally, we need Prince Charming and the fairy godmother. Now, the fairy godmother, you can't get much more iconic than you had in the second film. You know, that is the only reason that I love the second film. Not quite as much as the first still, but like the second film wouldn't even be close to the first if it weren't for the incredible I'm holding out for a hero scene. You know, oh my god, the storm in the castle and the Mongo falls into the, oh god, it's so good. It's so good. So in this one, I'm kind of like, why not just cast completely differently for the fairy godmother? Why not cast Jennifer Coolidge? She's such a ridiculous person, but she's surprisingly good at being like quite a vicious villain. You know, you're talking like, wasn't she like the Cinderella's stepmother in something? Like a Cinderella story or something like that, you know, that kind of role. She's so good at that kind of thing, and it would be really, really funny. And then you need somebody kind of cuddling up to her, but it's this big, very attractive man, but he's also got to be very funny. And he's like, oh, mommy, you promised I could be king. It's got to be Chris Hemsworth. Like, you can cast so many people in that role. It's, you know, you can cast any Hollywood pretty boy, but none of them would be quite as perfect at completely throwing away their dignity in this role as Chris Hemsworth. That's a bad way to put it, but like, but that's exactly, you know, like, it's the same thing as Fat Thor, you know? In Avengers Infinity War, Thor was the most attractive, most awesome, you know, sheer power guy in the whole, you know, 80 heroes that were in the film. And then in Endgame, he was the fat guy who'd gotten really sad and got fat and played a lot of Fortnite, you know? And you're just kind of like, oh yes, just do the same thing here. He's just this huge guy riding along the horse, and he's all like, I'm Prince Charming, and then he finds the wolf in Fiona's bed in the tower, and then he goes back and he's like, mommy! It'd be so funny. And that's all for this fancast, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what else you'd like to see fancast in the comments. I have a lot of requests, and they're out every Sunday 5 PM. But that's only once a week, so if there's 5 requests a week, it's going to take a while to get through them, but I am, okay? I'm working through every request I've been given. Promise. Please subscribe. Bye!